Hi, and welcome to the Transition Training Series, Module 2. We're going to be discussing the transition grid and the transition matrix. So again, at this point, the Transition Training Series has 4 modules. You should have already viewed Module 1 on the meeting invitation and present levels of transition, and this one is going to go over transition grid and the transition matrix. And then we get into further documentation in Module 3 and an overview of the transition courses for Module 4. So, transition grid. How do you transfer the information from the present levels that we just learned all about in Module 1 into the transition grid? So we're going to break it down by what their interest area might be. So here is a well-written military example. After graduation, William has a goal of joining the military. We can be more specific if we know which branch. And here are some activities that would be specific to that goal path. Researching recruitment requirements. Remember, there's certain branches that are very strict about certain diagnoses, what medications they're taking, vision. We need to make sure that we're looking into all of those so that it is a realistic choice for the student. Research various branches of the military, research a field that's being offered by a specific branch, explore how military positions translate into civilian jobs, and remember, be specific if we know what they're looking into going. If they're going in for a specific purpose, we want to make sure we're noting that. So here's an example. These have been updated. You normally are right out of the cheat sheet that I've given you, but these have now been updated with all of the new requirements. So this student wanted to go into the Army and be trained in welding so that after getting out of the Army, he would be able to be a welder. So after graduation, he has a goal of joining the Army. We have the courses of study from this year, projected courses of study for next year. We have the measurable annual goal marked as yes. We have that he will increase his math computation and math application skills here. That's his service, marked with that asterisk. And then he will research the Army and its recruitment requirements. That's something specific to his goal. Employment after graduation and completion of his military training, he would like to be competitively employed as a welder. So we want him down here increasing his work completion as his service with an asterisk, and that he will research occupational statistics for the welding field, learn more about his specific employment goal. And this is how all of the areas should be written. So here's apprenticeship. After graduation, Jose has a goal of completing an apprenticeship to become a tattoo artist. Okay, so has a goal of, that would be the consideration here. Research local companies that might offer him an apprenticeship, research any prerequisites, any licenses that the state requires to practice in that field. Sometimes apprentice work does require those licenses. So this one, after graduation, he has a goal of completing an apprenticeship to become a tattoo artist. Again, courses of study for this year, next year. We have some services in here, and that he's going to research local tattoo shops that offer an apprenticeship program and any equipment and startup costs. Okay, so specific to his goal. And again, same thing here, researching those occupational statistics. These will all be in the cheat sheet, which is why I'm going so quickly through these. Trade and technical school. Again, same exact wording. After graduation, we need that qualifier. The student has a goal of, okay, not plans to pursue, that he will do this, has a goal of attending a trade school to become an auto mechanic. So researching schools, researching the admission requirements are all good things to be looking into for trade school. Here's our example again. There's our wording. Goal is set up exactly the same. Researching trade schools for an auto mechanic program. Researching occupational statistics for auto mechanics. Okay, hopefully you guys are seeing a trend by this point. If they are college bound, either 2-year or 4-year college, again, same wording, qualifier. After graduation, student has a goal of, what do they have a goal of? Attending college for a program in psychology, or attending community college for a program in such and such. Okay, same exact wording. We just need to have their specific choices put in there. So research PSATs, SATs, or ACTs in 11th grade. Research colleges with selected majors, admissions requirements. And here's our grid. Again, looks very similar to our previous grids. Now just know this is not all you will be putting in the grid. I have kept these very specific to each goal area. In Module 3, you will learn about how to beef up this transition grid section with a ton more activities through the transition matrix. Okay, or actually at the end of this training, you'll learn a little bit about it too. So after graduation, they have, again, a goal of attending college. So here we have them researching things. Hopefully this is, again, creating a pattern for you. Other circumstances, these are pretty common, right? We have students that say they have no idea what they want to do. We've talked about before how you want them completing an interest profiler. They have to do that every year anyway. This should help guide their decisions. Maybe some of the suggested careers will really resonate with them and they'll be like, yeah, I want to be, doing this field that I never even thought about. If they remain undecided, see if you can at least get them to agree to a type of post-secondary education. If they absolutely know that they want to be done after college and or after high school, and they definitely do not want to go to any further schooling, that will help us tailor the services and activities. Okay. So, but we can leave things vague. So if somebody says, yeah, I know I want to go to college, I just don't know what I want to go for, you can say they have a goal of attending college in an undecided field. And then their employment goal would just be competitive employment. They know they want to get a job. They just have no idea what they want to get a job doing. And then we also have the other circumstance of students state that they want to go directly into the workforce or into a family business. And they don't have to do any kind of post-secondary training if they don't want to. What we would then be doing is have them do the interest profiler, see if any of those suggested occupations resonate. If not, if somebody's, lives on a farm and wants to continue to work the farm, that's totally up to them and perfectly fine. So collect as many details about the desired job as possible and then personalize those services and activities. So the goal you'd be writing would just say upon graduation, they have a goal on the job training. Okay, so regardless of whether you get a job at Walmart or you get a job at Lowe's or whatever it is you're doing, there will be a period of on the job training. So if somebody wants to go directly into the workforce, we use this goal right here, on the job training to become whatever it is that they want to be. So if they want to be a farmer, they want to be a farmer. And then after graduation and completion of on-the-job training, they have a goal of competitive employment as a farmer or whatever. Independent living goals. Again, everyone should know by now that these are no longer just for life skills students. There are a number of our levels 1 through 3 students that do need to have independent living goals. So we need to make sure that we're looking into that. If your student absolutely seems to be on a great path, they don't need a goal in this area, this should be the statement. This is the exact wording. I don't want to see any other wording in IEPs. This is the wording that PDE says that we need to use. Based on the information detailed in the present level section of this IEP, the IEP team, including student and his parent, have determined a goal is not needed in this area at this time. And then there should not be any courses of study listed. You can list NA if you don't like Sapphire telling you have a box empty, and you need to make sure the measurable annual goal says no. If your student has any of these red flags, really be thinking about and making sure that you have data backing up that they do not need an independent living goal in your present levels of transition. So if they have behavior discipline problems, communication issues, difficulty managing materials, time, or their healthcare needs, if they're a teen parent or they're currently pregnant, if CYS is involved, or if there's been current or a history of substance abuse. So if they need a goal, the goal should be written to say exactly what it is that they want. They have a goal of living independently once employed. Okay, do not put in here all the things that they need to do. That's an activity. I want a statement saying after graduation, the student has a goal of living independently once employed. Okay, I will give some special service examples as well. So we have the courses of study, their service, and an activity that could align with what their need is. And you will also have more that go along with the transition course. Here are some special service examples. Okay, again, these will be in your checklist, so I just want you to be aware that they're there. So let's take it to the next level. The transition matrix. Keep calm. The matrix has you. How do you know what age and grade appropriate activities to put in the grid? Okay, so say you have one that you included in there from all the examples I just went over. How do you make this even better? Well, here's how. We've now provided you with the matrix. It is broken down. You have their age and grade. This is 7th for 13 and 14-year-olds. This is Paton's planning for the future checklist. This is what Paton PDE says the student should be doing at this age. Here's a little summary of the OVR process at that age. This tells you what informal surveys and portfolios they're doing. This tells you formal academic and then transition assessments. This gives you examples of activities for post-secondary ed, for employment, for independent living that you can pretty much copy and paste and tailor to the student's needs. So there is 7th grade. Even though there's not a course, there are suggestions for 7th grade. These are the things that teachers should be doing in 7th grade with their students to prepare them for the 8th grade transition course. So here's the 8th grade course. This does align with the transition course. So these are all the things that we'll be going over in the course. If your student is not taking the course because they are special services, we want to make sure that you're having conversations with whoever is teaching your students transition at your level. And they should be following these similar guidelines just at the student's level. Everyone has access to the same transition curriculum and resources. Okay, so this is for 8th grade. We have it for 9th grade. It is for every single grade level out here. 10th grade, which is ages 16 to 17. 11th grade, 17 to 18. Again, OVR process updates when you get into these higher grade levels. Then you have the 12th grade. This is when most of our levels 1 to 3 should be graduating. If not, they will still be following these activities. The 12 plus on the matrix is geared towards special services. So these are for the students that are staying until they're 21. These are things that we think the student should be working on. So again, geared towards our full-time support students. And this is what it ends up looking like. This is what we want our transition grids going to. Looks a little different than what they currently do, doesn't it? So we have their services up here. We have what we want them to do to research college and video game design, okay, through email. This is something that you, the special education teacher, are definitely doing with them. Here are the things from the transition matrix that they're learning in the Transition 9 course. Okay, a few of these cross over between 9 and 10, so I listed here 9 and 10 course. Here, and then you want to have the Transition 10 course information as well, since we're covering one full IEP term. Okay, you can see if you were doing an IEP here in October, you would need to have both the current grade level and the next grade level. And then everyone should really be working with their students on learning about their disability and the accommodations that they use. It's very important to have that in there. On the matrix, there's a few things. That statement is italicized pretty much at every grade level to make sure that it is not always directly covered in the class. It will be covered in bits and pieces, but it's important that you, the special ed teacher, are doing that too. Here's what the employment should look like using that transition matrix. Again, covers the whole screen. Imagine how amazing our IEPs are going to look using this matrix. Okay, here's our independent living. If we determine that they need a goal, look at all the things that they're going to be working on. Absolutely amazing. So some final reminders very quickly. All students must have at least 2 goals out of the 3 goal areas in the transition grid. Double check that the annual goals box is marked yes if they have a goal. Put an asterisk before services that relate to an IEP goal. Do not repeat services in the grid if they have more than one IEP goal. The transition grid must cover the entire IEP term. Courses of studies will typically be 2 years. Do not forget to include the applicable gen ed requirements. If they take driver ed, put it in there. Take credit for that. Do not list the student or learning coach in the agency responsible. It is only what the LEA is providing. Whenever you write an IEP, we are responsible for providing it within that IEP term. Watch your wording. We are going to be looking for these IEP requirements through the analysis form. And again, remember, you're the primary person, so you should be using that